Apollo Africa is an energy trading business. We form part of the Roynet group of businesses. Roynet is a JSE listed entity, an industrial holding company. So we form part of the renewables segment of businesses. Our sister company is Terra Firma Solutions and does embedded solar on a customer's site, and we provide wheeled solutions to our customers. We're able to, between the two of us, offer the full suite of electricity supply solutions, and we're able to optimize that to get the best custom products for our customers. For us, at the end of the day, it's about creating a custom solution that meets our customers' needs. And that's looking at all the different commercial aspects and technical aspects of what's going to achieve the best energy coverage and the least amount of waste for the best price. We source all our supply from tier 1 projects in the market. So right now there's probably about 10 gigs worth of supply projects under development at various stages. We go and source the best out of all of those. We develop our shortlist criteria, and then we do a due diligence on those projects. And then we only offer to the market those which are of the best quality. So they've passed about 20 odd permits and license requirements for it to be able to connect to the grid and to achieve financial close, so that our customers know they're only getting the projects that they have the highest prognosis of closing. Also, when we customize our products for customers, we look at time of use matching. We look at when they use electricity and match that with the supply on the other side. And we manage to cater for the variabilities between our customers' load and our supply on the renewable side, which tends to be variable. So with our ability to blend across our portfolio of generators and our portfolio of customers, we get a much more blended product so that you don't have to experience waste as a customer in the variabilities between supply and demand. There have been a couple of issues. I think firstly, there are a lot of new players in the market, and it's very difficult for someone without experience to know which project or which supplier is genuine, which ones have credible projects that have all the checks going on behind the scenes, and which ones have the capabilities and the financial backing to go the distance with getting that project to financial close and pulling off the full-scale construction of a mega project like this. So there's a lack of understanding or capacity on the customer side and being able to sift through all of that and identify what's the good from the not quite ready yet. And then a lot of friction points come in the contracting term. So typical power purchase agreements are about 20 years long, and they're very, very onerous terms in terms of, contract length, termination clauses, how to get out of that contract, what happens if X, Y, and Z happens. And now for any business, it's very hard to predict what's going to happen for the next 20 years. And with the liability of this power purchase agreement for 20 years, you're taking on a fair amount of risk that you don't necessarily know how to handle yourself. So that's been some of the sticking points for many customers in being able to commit to such long terms and such onerous clauses around deemed energy charges, the take or pay, termination clauses, grid events, all those sorts of things. So this is where we also come in, because a trader in the middle, we introduce a lot more liquidity into the system, and that means we can take off the burden of a lot of those risks. We make energy purchasing a lot easier and more flexible for a customer, because we know things change year on year. Production goes up, production goes down, strikes happen, all sorts of events, and you need to be able to cater for those events with flexibility, and you need a partner who's able to do so, but still with a bankable product. So that's where traders can really provide that flexibility through the increased liquidity that they're adding to the system, and through their portfolio of off-takers being able to shift around supply to different customers. I think the other aspect around it is that typically if you're buying direct from an IPP, power producer, you're buying a capacity contract. So what that means is you're either getting a percentage of that total plant, and then you get what you get and you don't get upset. Okay, with us, we're supplying you with volume. So we look at exactly what you need, and then we provide you with the matched volume according to that. So it's a lot lower risk overall. And that helps cater for some of those risks that a lot of mining clients especially may be averse to. For us, like I mentioned before, we do a few full due diligence check, and we have the experience to be able to do that and know what we're looking for. For example, a common issue that comes up is around land claims. So you need to have all your checks done, your legal checks done on the land claims, and also does the IPP developer have all the rights to the leases on all the land parcels that the facility is going to be built on? Because sometimes one farmer could hold out and it stops the whole project. So making sure that there's a due diligence on each one of those lease option agreements is one of the small tick boxes that you need to do. Because the last thing you want is to sign an agreement and hope that you're going to get supply in 2 years, because that's a typical construction time frame for a wind plant, and then you don't get it at all. And a lot of clients end up with egg on their face because they were responsible for procurement, but this due diligence issue wasn't checked. So those are part of the things that we check, where all our supply has gone through the rigorous legal checks before we even offer it to the market. I think for energy traders, we can operate anywhere between two bookends. On this bookend, it could be an arm's length agreement of supply. You could say, I'm going to give you this much supply for X amount of time, and that's the contract, and we arm's length. But on the other end of the bookend, might be similar to what Anglo has with Indaba. Indaba is their energy trader, and they source all of their supply for all of their mines, and they manage supply to all of their different mines in the most optimal manner. So Indaba has the experience for Anglo as their captive trader to be managing their procurement and doing all the allocations for them. So an energy trader in this space, you typically want to look for someone who's got the right expertise in the sector and has all the abilities to go with those services, and is someone that you'd obviously want to have a long-term relationship with, because you're going to be constantly working together, planning, scheduling, what's the forecast for next month, do we need to increase, decrease, do we need to move energy elsewhere? And that also comes down to the mining company themselves. Do they want to build out that capacity themselves, or do they want to focus on their core business and use the expertise and capacity of the energy trading company as a partner to them to help them understand the risks in the market and the opportunities? Because they can also assist them not just with long-term supply agreements, but also opportunistic buying off the market when prices are favorable. What we've seen without a doubt is seismic shifts in the energy market. There's been a huge glut of solar projects, both from a utility scale wheeling perspective, as well as the huge number of corporate, industrial, mining customers and residential who've now put rooftop solar at their premises behind the meter. So what we actually saw for the first time last year, November, was that midday energy demand on the national system equals the 2 a.m. energy demand for the country. That is how much our midday demand has been gouged out of the system. Now, the alarming thing there is that if you want to build your own solar facility that's of any scale, it's a sizable investment. And today, the energy prices are such that the business case makes sense. But what does it mean in the future when those energy prices go negative? And we see negative midday prices in the European market, in the US market, and that's because it's too expensive for the coal-fired power station to shut down during those times. They'd rather pay for people to take their energy, and the energy price goes negative. So those are the sorts of seismic shifts that are coming our way, and we can already see it happening based on the data from Eskom's data portal. So I think that's the first major thing that is being evidenced across the board with all of our customers. And a lot of our customers come to us and say, we're maximizing on installing solar. Please give us everything else. So we're the everything else suppliers at the moment. And right now, the nighttime prices for energy in South Africa are actually very cheap. They're exceptionally low. But what's going to happen post 2030 when we have 5 gigs worth of coal-fired power stations retired and we have no new nighttime supply being dispatched into the system? Like what we've seen with the REAP rounds and the announcement of the preferred bidders in December last year, there were no new wind projects added to the system. So what happens when we keep on adding more daytime supply and there's no nighttime supply coming? So from a corporate perspective, if you're looking at managing your risk for the future, you want to make sure that you've got nighttime supply and make sure that you've got supply for 24/7, not just sunshine hours. We focus very heavily on wind supply, and the majority of our supply portfolio is wind-based. Wind is exceptionally short in the market, and there are very few projects that actually have all the required permits and licenses and authorizations to go forth to financial close. So we've secured quite a number of wind projects, and we focus very heavily on that just because the demand is not there for us on midday supply, and wind gives a much more balanced 24/7 profile from an energy perspective. And that's more what the market needs today and definitely what they will need for the future. What we can see is that there are seismic shifts happening in the market, and it's one of the fastest moving markets that South Africa has seen since probably the gold rush. It's an exciting industry and it presents opportunities, but it also presents a lot of risks. So the bottom line is that you want to have an energy partner who has the necessary expertise to come and tell you what's happening in the future and protect you from risks and make sure that you have the best solution to cater for those risks, and who will walk the journey with you along the way, because things change. That's one thing that we know for sure in business. Things change, and you want a partner who can work with you to come up with solutions as they change. One thing that's become very obvious to me over the last 6 months to a year is that all the underlying assumptions that everyone has at the moment around electricity economics is about to turn on its head. So if you make the wrong assumptions today to your economics, you end up in a very risky situation and a financial mess in future that you don't want to get yourself into. So partnering with the right people with the right expertise to be able to guide you through it is the smartest thing you can do from a risk perspective to protect your business in the future. And I think, what's become very exciting is the Electricity Regulation Act amendment that was promulgated in December last year. And what that means for customers, I think a lot of people aren't fully aware of what it's going to mean. And it does mean the opening of the Eskom day-ahead market. And in this new environment, it means that all distribution, so Eskom distribution, the municipalities, have to start buying off the day-ahead market. So that means if there's a situation where we have a supply shortage and, for example, Eskom has to burn more diesel, well, then your price goes up to the diesel price. And that's the spot price that they have to buy on. Now, they can only sell power at a fixed tariff, which gets regulated by NERSA and increased once per year. But what it means for the distributors is they have to go and buy hedging instruments to protect them from the fluctuating changes on the left compared to the single price tariff on the right. And now if you buy all your hedging instruments, it means your costs go up. So from a customer perspective, you want to make sure that you've made your own plan on energy supply, where you've got your own hedge, and that's where a power purchase agreement acts as a hedge against this uncertainty in future.